Of all the controversial creative choices introduced in Ben 10 Omniverse, the one that got everyone mad was the relationship between Ben and Kai. Even people apathetic to shipping disliked this relationship. It's not exactly hard to see why. Kai Green was originally just a one-shot character in the original series. She debuted in the episode Ben Wolf, where we see some general traits of hers which contrasted Gwen's. Whereas Gwen was snarky and often butted heads with Ben, Kai was much more soft-spoken and calm. This was also the girl Ben had a crush on. And that crashed down at the end of the episode where she was really only interested in Ben because she wanted to tame him. The whole point of this episode was that the Omnitrix was able to assimilate the DNA of aliens it doesn't know about, so Ben was gradually transforming into Ben Wolf, or Blitzwolfer as it's now called. Even Gwen points out that treating Ben like a dog because she wanted to tame him and that's the only reason she's interested in him is just a sick and wrong sentiment to have. That was in season 3 of 4 of the original series. She never had another full appearance in the original series, only a cameo. It took 3 seasons of Alien Force, 3 seasons of Ultimate Alien, and she isn't even seen again until episode 44 of Omniverse. She only has 4 major appearances. Episode 44, Episode 65, Episode 74, and Episode 78. That's madness. Look, I'm not the type of person to say you can't tell good and compelling stories in 4 episodes, but you can certainly tell a better story than what we got. So Kai returns in episode 44, an American Ben Wolf in London, and we immediately run into a problem with these two. Look, Ben Tennyson of Omniverse has been shown to have an ego the size of Ego of a Living Planet, so it's good to have a character put him in his place. Except she doesn't put him in his place. She's the one who starts the hostilities. She calls Ben and Rook only for her to immediately treat them as her backup just to start bickering with Ben. They want the bickering couple aesthetic, but they have no idea how to write it. Throughout Kai's Omniverse debut, everyone, from Rook to the Assorted Forever Knights, all say, hey, you two look like a great couple whenever they bicker. The show desperately wants them together to the point of stupidity. It seems like the plot is more invested in their relationship than the actual characters themselves and how they're written. They basically do nothing but fight for petty, nonsensical reasons. Also, Kai's characterization throughout Omniverse seems to have exaggerated the twists in the original series. That is, how she liked Ben transformed into aliens, but she disliked him as a human or was disinterested. Well, in the original series, she was disinterested, but in Omniverse, this has become part of her characterization. She likes all the aliens, but she detests Ben. Reminder, in the original series, she was uninterested in human Ben. She wasn't detesting of him. She was just more interested in Ben Wolf and the idea she could tame him. In the Omniverse series, she seems to detest human Ben, but love the transformations. If anything, they just turned a rather cruel twist in the original series into an active character trait in Omniverse. Those who watched the original series will be reminded of this nonsense, and it happens often in Omniverse. Those who only watch Omniverse will find this joke endearing at first, but then it gets tiring. Also, a friend of mine pointed out the belligerent sexual tension reminded him of Gwen and Ben's relationship in the original series, which I had to double take because I realized Ben and Gwen shippers exist. Excuse me while I vomit into someone else's potted plants. All of this tease of, oh, young love, is nothing compared to what comes next. I can deal with the teasing in one episode, but here's where we get into heavy-handed crap. The guy on the left is Spanner, a time traveler. The narrative changes from wanting Kai and Ben to be together to fating them to be together. So, in the debut episode of Kai for Omniverse, we are told by the narrative framing and the characters themselves that Ben and Kai would make a great couple. But now, we have some kid from the future, who I'll mention we didn't know that he was Ben and Kai's kid from the future when this was airing, come in and say it's fate. So, that's pathetic. Also, Spanner is Ken 10 from that one future episode in the original series. Okay, this franchise exists in a multiverse Why is Ken acting like he is at risk of being erased when we have been shown that this whole thing exists in a multiverse? Look, I'm not against fated love as a concept. If I was, I wouldn't like star-crossed lovers as much as I do. However, the fated love card used by this show is being used to say, it's going to happen, so it should happen, we don't need to put effort into actually building it. That, my friends, is the fundamental issue with this storyline. It's going to happen anyways, any effort we put into building it would just be wasted. However, that's not how stories work. All fiction is preordained, it happens at the writer's will. Dormammu will not consume Earth. Necron will not kill everyone in the universe. However, you can't just neglect the build-up and then just go, hey, it's endgame because it's fated to happen. Because if you as an author don't care enough to tell the story, then why should the audience care about the story itself? The funny thing is, we could have had a nice story from Spanner trying to push them this hard. All you need to do is pull some of the old trope, fate is met on the road taken to avoid it. We see this in Oedipus the King, when his parents try to kill their son because it was prophesied that the son will kill his father and marry his mother, only for this exact prophecy to come to pass. I'm just saying, having Ben and Kai attempt to avert their future only to grow closer as characters would be infinitely more interesting than, oh, it's just fate, therefore we need to go through with this. At least give Spanner some reason to exist other than being the embodiment of literal fate pushing his parents together. Keep in mind, we did not know his true identity when this was airing on TV. This means for all we know, he was some writer's self-insert to get this ship together. Frankly, the museum episode could have happened without the shipper on deck, and not much would have changed. The ship had faulty foundations to begin with. The way Kai is characterized only makes things worse. Her interactions with Ben never came off as romantic in the slightest, and things only happened because fate said so. Nobody in this storyline does anything to merit this ship. The show goes, it's fate, therefore it shall be. That is asinine. I hope you enjoyed this rant. Please consider liking, subscribing, and tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.